All right, good friends. Welcome back. Helen Badinsky is our guest tonight. I recommend her blog highly, helenofdestroy.com, for a whole lot of reasons you could probably hear. Helen, by the way, one of our great listeners sent me an email. I'd like to know if you could call in and make a comment or ask a question. Would that be okay with you?
Sure.
All right, let's open up the phone lines. Julian said he wanted to call in, so let me just open these up right now. And there we go. Okay, so while we're waiting for that. So anyhow, this whole, it's a theme, maybe you could focus on it. You're closer to that generation than I am. But I think that these kids have been raised to just be totally sold on marketing and words and not content, and not results.
Yeah, I mean, they grow up with it, and it becomes sort of a part of how they see the world, and especially like having a screen in your face from day one. I mean, there is something to be said for, when you're sitting in front of television, your brain waves are altered in the manner that they are when you're hypnotized. I think alpha waves or whatever it is, and then of course add the phone in, and it all just goes down the tubes. I mean, I guess I was lucky. I grew up before the cell phones were a ubiquitous thing, but I mean, we had television, and people are taught to look for entertainment or look for fulfillment, or just look for anything outside of themselves. The locus of decision, the locus of anything is no longer within. You're not a person with your own hopes and dreams or drives or whatever. You look for them outside of yourself. And so you are much more easily manipulated than a person who looks for them within.
And I think social media fosters this kind of hive mind mentality. Oh, look,
yeah.
Look at me. I'm on board. I'm one of the team. What's the latest? What are we supposed to be angry about this week? Oh, yeah, me too.
Oh, yeah, look what a good rule follower I am. Look how I'm following all the rules. I'm so good. I'm such a good person.
Virtue signaling, and if I bump my toe on something I disagree with, I got to go get a teddy bear in a safe space someplace.
Or I have to report the person who put that thing there that I bumped my toe on because, I'm a victim now of toe bumping, and that's a crime.
Beware of my toes. The Romans had a great expression. It's a lot easier to cover the bottom of your foot with leather than it is to cover the entire globe with leather. And the result is the same, and that's what we're trying to do with all these rules and trigger. And, you can't speak because I have been derelict in my duty to mature as a person to realize what my grandmother taught me in the 1950s. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words can never harm me.
Yeah, it's funny that the Romans had that saying, so it really has been like a thing that's in the zeitgeist for so long. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. Just because somebody, some hypothetical person somewhere might get offended, now all of a sudden, like this large swath of the language is cut off from acceptable discourse. I mean, it's insane. It doesn't make any sense.
I am unhappy with my body. I want to pretend that I'm a female, and the cure for that, to being comfortable in my body, is for me to just get my mind straight. But no. We're going to cover the earth with leather. Everybody has to lie and make believe I'm a female.
Yeah, everybody has to indulge my delusion. So if I say that I'm a unicorn, and I know because when I look in the mirror, I see a unicorn. And so everybody else has to see it too. And if you're not seeing it, then you're a fascist.
Mm-hmm. You're unicorn phobic. Is that uniphobic?
Uniphobic. Oh, that could have to do with unicycles too, and I don't know. I don't want to go down that road.
Listen, let's not be prejudiced against the people who are unicyclists.
Hey, that's a talent that I really admire, actually, because I could never do that. But whatever, let's not go.
But it'll save us from global warming if everybody rode a unicycle. So. That's very, very important.
Oh, it's a little late for saving us from global warming, I'm afraid. The human race will be extinct much sooner than it thinks. But, we had a good run.
It's not nice to fool Mother Nature, and maybe Mother Nature's saying enough. If you guys ain't going to get your act together, then I'll make sure it doesn't go any further.
The whole global warming industrial complex is such a fraud, though, because it's like, okay, well, I'm going to pay now so that I get to keep polluting the atmosphere. But because I'm paying, that somebody will somehow offset what I'm doing to the atmosphere. I mean, it doesn't even make sense on its face. I mean, I've heard these things called carbon indulgences, and that's really what the likeness is. It's like you're paying off the Pope so you get to go and commit all these sins, but then he's off in a corner doing something to offset your sinfulness. And like, what? That doesn't even make sense. Like, so yeah, the idea of paying to expiate your global warming sins is idiotic, as is the idea of, oh, we need to stop taking transatlantic flights when, okay, so there's much more pollution that is created by the factory farming industry, but we like our bacon, so let's keep eating that bacon and tell people to stop taking flights to Asia. No, sorry. You stop eating the bacon.
Well, bacon.
We'll keep our transatlantic flights.
As I understand it, people didn't used to eat bacon, right?
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, and it was I think Edward Bernays that was hired by the pork industry to how can we sell more of the stuff that we throw away. And I think they promoted the bacon and eggs breakfast as a healthy American breakfast. And, of course, my grandfather died of a heart attack from it. But, there you go. Healthy for their bottom line anyway.
I wondered about the whole bacon thing because it's become such a ubiquitous fad now. But I know that it had to come from somewhere. But it seems like, I mean, these rubbery strips, it doesn't seem like a thing you would naturally eat. I mean, pigs in general, that's one thing I think all the world religions got right. As many things as they got wrong, the whole not eating pigs thing, that's a good one. I mean, yikes.
Well, you ought to add lobsters in that too, because they're scavengers, so.
Yeah, but lobsters taste so good.
Aha! There you go. There you go.
Hey, we all have our weaknesses.
Speaking of indulgences,
but
anyway,
lobsters aren't polluting the universe. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, we're going down a tangent.
Well, actually, most of our leaders shape-shift into them, but that's a whole nother show, I guess. I'm going to try Julian here. Hi, Julian. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Julian, meet Helen Beniski. Helen, meet Julian, just a great listener for a long time. He's also an author. It's been a long time since you called in.
Yeah. Hi, Helen. Yeah.
Hi.
What would you like to talk about, Julian?
Well, I'd like to talk about the President Trump declassifying the rest of those FISA documents and all the other messages between some of those FBI people. That is a big one for me. I've been following that. And recently, I wanted to get your take on this group of people, the QAnons. Recently.
Oh, no.
Right. They've been back in the news again lately.
Yeah, and what you thought of them, I have a number of people that have told me about it, so I've been looking at their board and reading some of their posts and various. I found out they have a lady they show a lot, Sarah Carter, her website. Maybe you're familiar with
Sarah. Yes, no, she does some excellent reporting. I have been kept abreast of a lot of this deep state perfidy that's slowly finally coming out. She's so ahead of the game with that. She's got great contacts in the security services, and she gets great.
What's her website? I'm not familiar with
SarahCarter.com. SARA Carter.com. She's really good. I believe she's like a mother of six also. And they ended up putting her on Fox. SARA Carter.com. And
because I don't know. Q had. They're the ones that say that Julian Assange is actually safe and sound somewhere, hiding out, and the whole idea that he's imprisoned in the embassy is nonsense. So
no, she's not a QAnon person. That's a whole separate subject. The Q. I mean, a lot of people have tried to get me to go after that, and I think it's just. Too nebulous. It's too nebulous.
If it was legitimate, I mean, this person who's risking their life to leak all of these deep state secrets, they would be doing it in ways that were more overt than riddles and equivocal cues and on a 4chan message board.
It's probably Roger Stone. Hold on, we're going to be right back. We're with Helen Beniski. Hold on, Julian. We'll be right back. All right, good friends, welcome back. Tom Kiley, INM World Report Radio. Here with Helen Beniski. Helen of desTroy.com. we're speaking about a few things. Julian is on the line with us, and Julian raises a great point about the declassification that is supposed to be taking place of a lot of this FBI cooked FISA requests to spy on the Trump campaign. And it looks like we're finally going to get a hold of that. All these FBI agents running around telling each other there's no there, but we're going after Trump anyway. These tweets are coming out now. And Julian, you had mentioned the QAnon stuff. For those who may not be familiar, we have talked about it on the show. I know Joe Calhoun likes to talk about it. It's a group or a person, QAnonymous or something, and this is like a sort of a deep throat into the Trump world.
It's a glorified role-playing game.
Yeah, and it's like somebody who supposedly knows what's really going on, and they've been, they leak stuff. Sometimes things happen, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they watch for the big enchilada to drop.
Trust Sessions, they say. Trust Sessions. Yeah, I'll trust Sessions as far as I can throw him. Sure.
Yeah. Well, that's one of QAnon's.
Oh, and Julian Assange is safe and living on Mars. Yeah, sure. Well, they didn't say Mars.
Well, one of their things apparently is that Trump is buffaloing when he criticizes Sessions, because when all of this stuff breaks. See, they got the liberal media on the side of Sessions now because he's being victimized by Trump. So once it all breaks and then Sessions goes after all of these guilty people in the FBI like a pit bull, they can't very well criticize him for that.
Yeah, but Sessions recused himself from the Russia thing. Sessions has recused himself from anything of significance in order to more effectively go after what, drug dealers? I'm sorry, that's really pathetic.
Not only that, but he didn't have to recuse himself.
Of course, that's what I mean. He's wimped out of it doing anything significant. I see no reason to think that he's all of a sudden going to take off his disguise to reveal super litigator or whatever. Right. It's not going to happen.
Right, and I think it was the deep state that duped him. Julian, are you familiar with that Sessions did not have to recuse himself from this investigation?
Sure, and so yeah, there.
Do you know why? Do you know why? You know why?
Well, that he didn't have to. No.
He did not have to because it was not a criminal investigation. Okay? He was part of the Trump campaign. So if it was a criminal investigation into the Trump campaign, yes, he should have recused himself. But it wasn't. It was a counterintelligence investigation. So he did not have to recuse himself. All right? But he was talked into it by the crooks. The crooked FBI who was doing it, namely that guy Rosenstein. I think there is a rift at the top. I think there's a war at the top. You've got certain deep state people that are going for one side of the oligarchy and certain ones that are going for the other side. And Trump is right in the middle of all that.
Yeah, but then you got to wonder why Trump is appointing all these people who are so clearly working against his interest, against the things that he ran on. I mean, there's just no excuse for putting a person like John Bolton in any sort of position of power, putting a person like Nikki Haley in any position of power. These are not people who are working for the United States' best interests.
Well, first of all, Nikki Haley is inconsequential, if you ask me. Okay, I think she's just laughable. Okay.
I call her the Wicked Witch of the UN, but
she thinks she's really something. She thinks she's like making a name for herself for a presidential run. She's an idiot.
She wants to run with Pence. She thinks they're going to impeach Trump, and then she and Pence can go pick up the pieces. I mean, yeah, good luck, lady.
I think she's an imbecile, but that's okay. That's why they want her in that job. Bolton is a war hawk. Everything. Bolton did seem to work toward facilitating the Trump and Putin meeting. I was surprised at his talk about that. I don't think Trump is that stupid. I just think sometimes he insulates himself by picking people that are beyond reproach. I'm not sure.
But that's the thing, is that Bolton is not beyond reproach. He was so lunatic, warhawk crazy that even the Bush administration kind of looked askance at him, like what this guy is.
He's beyond reproach with the Zyocons. That's what I meant.
That's true. Yeah.
That's what I mean. True. That's what I mean. Yeah. What were you going to say, Helen?
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't Q also the one that's saying, oh, we need to find Snowden, we need to track down Snowden? So they're trying to get the people who are playing this Q role-playing game to do the NSA's dirty work. I mean, I don't know. I find the Q thing to be a little bit sophomoric, and like I said, it's a glorified role-playing game. It would be nice if some of the things they were saying were true, that Julian Assange is actually safe and sound somewhere far from the Ecuadorian embassy in London. However, he's not, and the fact is that if people are led to believe that he's safe and that we don't have to work to try to get him out.
We'll be right back. Going to break. All right, good friends. Welcome back. Coming down the home stretch. Kylie here, INN World Report Radio. Thursday night, Joe Calhoun will be with us. We ought to touch back in with Scott Creighton, too. I'll give him a call. Scott Creighton, American Everyman, got his blog yanked at WordPress. I hope he's making progress getting back, into the blogosphere. I have not been in great contact with him. I figured he's probably busy enough. I offered him some help. So let me reach out to Scott Creighton, too. We'll see how he's doing. Someone who was deplatformed, that we used to have on the show regularly. Anyway, Helen Beniski is with us tonight. Hopefully she's not going to be deplatformed anytime soon. Helen of desTroy.com.
Well, I've already been removed from Google search results and had my site not quite hacked, but there was a script injection done the other day that made it not available to some people for a while. So what do you suspect was the horrible line that you crossed that caused this to happen? Some people have guessed for me. Somebody thought it was that picture that I put up of Zuckerberg. So some people thought it was the picture I put up of Zuckerberg and Netanyahu, but I mean, that's an old picture. That's been around for a while. I don't know. I mean, maybe pointing out the fact that they're using the Syria thing as a springboard into Iran. I mean, John Bolton promised his buddies at the Mujahideen al-Khalq, that terrorist splinter group of Iranian exiles that he's been backing. He basically promised Iran on a silver platter regime change by the Ayatollah's birthday in 2019, which is, I think, sometime in February. So he's got to deliver that. Or, I mean, I don't know. The MEK is, there's some pretty terroristic guys, so they might just, do something to him. I don't know. I mean, that's my theory, is that this Syria thing, they've kind of almost given up on Syria. They want to keep their little pocket of Idlib there as like sort of a home for wayward terrorists. But what they really want is Iran, and that's what they've wanted since the beginning of all of this. The slogan, which I quote in my article, is the real men go to Tehran. Boys go to Baghdad, but real men go to Tehran. And so they've wanted Iran since like 2001, and they really aren't going to be happy until they get it. So.
Well, we'll see. I mean, again, in our wonderful mainstream media, they don't talk about why the Iranians are so upset with the United States. We took down their democracy in 1953 when they got rid of the puppet that we installed, the Shah. They took hostages from our embassy as an insurance policy that we wouldn't do a coup against their new revolution until it had a chance to firmly resolve itself. The Iranian, what do they call it? The whatchamacallit guard, the Revolutionary Guard in Iran. Everybody hates the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, and they were set up because the Iranian people couldn't trust their own military because we had corrupted it so bad. So these are the diehards. Okay, so we created, in a sense, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. And if all of that's not enough, we sicked our good boy Saddam Hussein. Oops, did I say good boy Saddam? Oh, yeah, well, he used to be our good boy.
Well, he was a good boy. He started peeing on the carpet a little too much, and we had to take him out.
He said, it's my carpet. I'll pee on it if I want to. And they said, no. So, yeah, we sicked him onto Iran, and the Iranians suffered 1 million casualties. So they have more than enough reason to call whoever it is that's running the United States the Great Satan.
Yeah, and then we go and add insult to injury by pretty much every year now we go and try to start a color revolution. And starting in 2009 with the Green Revolution, and then like there was one last year, then they tried to do it again this year, and it's like basically Iran has got a lot of problems, obviously. I mean, it would be nice if they could have a proper democracy, but, and they're not going to get one from the U.S. and whatever. What they have now at least is working a little better than a U.S.-sponsored regime with a secret police that runs around torturing people. But any like economic protest that starts in the streets that has legitimate grievances, and then some like National Endowment for Democracy shows up and tries to co-opt it into an anti-government thing, and the Iranians are not buying it. They know, they remember what has happened when the U.S. gets involved. They're not going to go for it. And so they're going to have to, if they want to take out Iran, they're going to have to spend trillions of dollars, which the U.S. does not have. And it would be best to just leave them alone, leave the whole region alone. But we're never going to have that.
Well, it's the context again, and that's what the mainstream media is all about. And it's they can't hide anymore. It's really, they're so over the top now, flogging the oligarchy's issues and like that. What's going on is that I think that they're stuck. They don't understand how many people are laughing at them now, and they keep trying to explain to everybody, their view of the world as if it's correct. They don't get it. The people are laughing at them by now, and they just keep going at it, and they're digging themselves deeper and deeper and deeper into a hole. I don't know what they're going to do when this whole Russia collusion thing blows up.
Well, they were trying to shove it under the rug for a while. Like the first, they were trying to, when it first started really falling apart, they were trying to kind of go after something else and just be like pretend the whole thing never happened. And then that didn't work, so they kind of had to deal with it some more, and then they were trying to focus on other things. But then it just kept coming back because they had flogged it relentlessly for months and months and months. And at this point, they just kind of say things and, what, proof? We need proof, huh? What? Or they go and edit the Wikipedia article so it looks like there's like proof. Because, nobody looks beyond the Wikipedia.
17 intelligence services. No. 3 said kind of sort of maybe.
Selective representatives of 3 intelligence, which we cherry picked precisely because we knew they would go along with the story. And, we can trust our intelligence agencies because weapons of mass destruction.
And
right.
even they said sort of kind of we really feel like it.
Yeah, they said a moderate confidence. I think the NSA even gave a ringing vote of moderate confidence. Okay,
there you go.
That really makes me feel good about this, right? Yeah.
And as you point out, the whole mainstream media, they were the another thing that blew up in their face was the fake news. When they tried to before the censorship, they tried to cast aspersions on alternative media outlets by calling it fake news. That totally boomeranged and blew up in their face. And I'm going like, all right, I've been in the alternative media almost 20 years now. And I do my best to try to speak the truth and everything. And if I've messed up once in a while, maybe I have. All right. But how many millions of people die when
I was going to say, your mistakes never killed anybody.
That's right. Versus weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Thank you very much. Is that what you mean by fake news, mainstream media? Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, and you notice that they never properly apologize for that either. It's like, mistakes were made, and mistakes were made. That's a nice little passive voice usage there. Mistakes were made. It's like whenever there's whenever Israel blows up some unarmed protesters at the Palestinians, they're always like, the Palestinians were killed, and were killed by whom? What exactly happened to these Palestinians? And it's whatever. It's just all part and parcel of the same narrative.
Well, you can't say that. Be careful. You're an anti-Semite. If you're talking about Israelis killing Palestinian children by luring them to the fence line with their sniper rifles.
Yeah, as soon as you're out of the womb, you're big enough to hold a bomb. Can't be too careful.
Hey, Helen.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you, Helen. So your name, Helen desTroy, Helen of desTroy.
Yeah.
Is that you're going by?
Yeah, Helen of desTroy. It's like Helen of Troy, except more explosive.
Yeah. Right. But I'm just wondering, what's your effort to destroy? What are you wanting to destroy? Illusions, or I'm sure illusions in one way, but.
Illusions, certainly the ruling class's stranglehold over American society. I mean, I would like to see an America that's back towards sort of our founding ideals of freedom of speech and just freedom of just do your thing, but don't interfere with anybody else's thing. And I would like to see some form of world peace. So maybe desTroy is the wrong sort of energy to put towards that. But I think that we should just focus less on trying to rip each other off and more on trying to create and do things that leave the world a better place than we found it and things like that.
Destroying the obstacles to world peace. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, A little roundabout, but it works.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
How's that? I think it's a very, very clever play on words. I'm an old Homer fan from way back. My father used to read it to us before we even went to school, so I think the Golden Book version, something like that. But it was, very, very interesting stuff.
So you could continue with the play on that, Helen, and the face that launched 1,000 instead of wars. You could that launched 1,000 something else, with what you're doing to continuing that whole little thing of Helen of Troy. Because she was said to have the face that launched 1,000 wars. You'd have
the face that launched 1,000 ships. Yeah.
Right. So you're the face that launched 1,000 slips in the media. How's that?
That has way too many other meanings. It doesn't quite. I'll come up with something.
Well, being the hopefully humorous segue artist that I am, that slips us out of time practically for tonight's program. I don't want to run right down to the last second. Julian, thank you for calling in. It's been a while. Call in again on Thursday, will you?
All right now. All right.
Yeah, okay. Nice talking to you.
Bye-bye.
And Helen, thank you very much for your blog, and I'm sure we'll be in touch soon. We look forward to it. Everybody, Helen of desTroy.com. Thank you.
You are listening to the Logos Radio Network, logosradionetwork.com.